You know, and that still takes very little energy, but man, does that sound awesome. Good. So,
Okay.
we all agree? I'm in tune on the middle C? Does that sound in tune? Now that's in tune, right? But that is not an honest representation of what the intonation really wants to be. I'm working to push those higher notes into place. That's the reality of the situation. And that's the reality of the situation down there. If you have good ears, then chances are, from the very beginning, from the time you started playing, you've been doing things, we've all been doing things to put the notes where they belong, not where they really want to be. And because my goal was to be as technically efficient as possible, of course, I started really recognizing how much work I was doing to correct notes. And I didn't want to do that anymore. It didn't take long before I realized how hurtful this was to my tone quality, to my accuracy, and my endurance. I mean, that is not acceptable from a design perspective. I resent that companies have stopped where they've stopped and that they haven't actually improved. It's like if you buy a car, the car is expected to drive straight, even if you don't have your hands on the wheel, right? It shouldn't, if it's all of a sudden always, turns hard left without touching the wheel, that's a problem. There's another problem with intonation, and that is across the board, with almost no exception in the world, trumpets play flatter the louder you play, and they play sharper the softer you play. It's painful. And of course, we don't want to feel this pain. So naturally, if we have good ears, again, we do things with our body to put notes where they belong. And every little thing that we do to put notes where they belong is hurtful to us. Trumpet players sacrifice more for their craft than any other instrumentalist. We suffer because of the instrument. But it gets really, really complicated because the trumpet is very, very imperfect. It can be very, very confusing for people to learn what is a good way to play the trumpet. That's why the people who have mastered the instrument, we look at them like idols, like we're somehow superheroes or aliens or something, I just happen to be very lucky in that I found my own way to master the instrument, and also I think like a scientist, and I can explain my process. I mean, it won't move. If I want the pitch to change, I need to do something to force it to change.
ピッチを変えようと思ったら無理やり変えないと変わりません。
I can do a half-step bend.
半音ベンドとか。
Or I can purposely make my air too slow and lazy. There are ways to get it wrong.
間違う方法はありますね。
But this is pitch stability. And that is sabotage. It's not your fault. But it is your responsibility to fix. stability. I'm doing those little crescendos to show you that it is truly the right place where I'm playing the note. You know, it's a miserable experience because every time I start the note, it's already out of tune. And then when I crescendo, it goes even more out of tune. And yet even the great players are playing on this stuff. Well, not every great player. Many more great players all the time are choosing to play on Lotus instruments. That is the maximum volume. So with, the typical amount of energy, mezzo forte energy, that's the amount of resonance I get here, which is more than the maximum potential for that mouthpiece. I mean, we can make sound and we can be pitch accurate on the mouthpiece. When we put a great instrument into a great amplifier, then we get it's a different world. It's like living in a different world. Now I'm gonna just go down the menu and starting with the shallowest mouthpieces, demonstrate to you the tone qualities available. So let's start with the shallowest mouthpiece. I am prioritizing for this example a lazy body. And if I want to actually hurt you guys, that's a different sound.
けど、あなたたちを痛めつけたいと思ったら違うサウンドになりますよ。
You know, that's just a little extra energy. I mean, it's a difference of 25% of extra. I don't need to fight to make that stuff happen because the amplifier is doing such a good job of producing the volume for me. It's not a bad sound. It's
悪い
pretty,
音ではありませんね。
but it's not the warmest sound I've ever heard either. Now here's instead of the extra small, here's our small cup, which is a little bit deeper. That's a lot more beautiful, right? I would use the extra small to play a salsa gig or something where it's all about the fireworks in the upper register. But for playing, any kind of exciting high note ballad, I would use the small cup. And that still takes very little energy, but man, does that sound awesome. I mean, that's a different instrument. And then we get away from lead mouthpieces and get into kind of more normal stuff. I think that our most versatile mouthpiece is the medium cup. that is, you can do everything on this mouthpiece. I think it's just as exciting as the small cup, just with a fatter sound.
けどサウンドはもっともっと豊かになりますね。
So this is a mouthpiece that you really can use it for any style of playing, and the benefit will be that it's easier to play high on it, and it still sounds just as fat as a deeper cup. So for those people, we made a weaponized version of the medium cup. Right? It's like every note is a punch to the nose. And on the medium cup,
これがミディアムに戻りました。
you hear the difference? It's not bad, but it's not that, it doesn't have exactly that quality. It's just a pop, 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 pop. It's a nice articulation. And at that same volume, here's the M2. It doesn't want to be pretty. What it wants to do is punch you in the nose. So it's really, really good for like commercial playing. Maybe if you're in a small horn section, 3 horns or something. This takes very little effort, and yet it's a big and punchy sound. So the medium cup and the M2, depending on which kind of work you do, that could be the one mouthpiece that you use to play everything. You can get that smoky, sexy jazz sound really, really nicely with the medium cup. And it's fantastic for that. It gives you a rich, fat sound and easy access to the upper register. Yeah. Same as with the medium. We have the large, the L and the L2, which have similar personalities, but they have a preference of being either warmer and sweeter or a little bit punchier and more fun in the upper register. So the L, the normal L, will be the broader, richer sounding one. And the L2, just like with the mediums, will be a little bit more directional. It'll have more percussion to the articulations. For me, I would probably prefer to play ballads and lyrical stuff on the L. If my priority was to get as much, excitement or aggression out of the mouthpiece, then I would choose the L2. It has the same general size of sound, the depth, but it's much more articulate. Even when you back off, it's still, it just feels like a snare drum. And this is also very pretty too. It might be your preference. I love how big that sound is. The tone color is changed, right? It's brighter. So it's brighter, and thus it's more exciting. Whether it's more appropriate for you or not really just depends on who you are. If you typically always find yourself, playing with a very warm sound and you need to work to make things shine, then the L2 will help very much with that. Whereas if you always feel like, my sound is just always a little small, and I wish that it had more beef on its bones, then the L will help you with that. And the XL2.
XL2.
For the same amount of energy, that is enormous.
すごいでかくなりますね。
Right? Or on a giant cup. You know? I wouldn't play the Brandenburg on it, but I would definitely play the Alpine Symphony on it. This is my other favorite mouthpiece in our line besides the medium because there's so much color available, so many different colors. You know, it's just, but at the same time, you know, it is not hard to do that job. This is a secret weapon for orchestral players. So the difference between the XL2 and the XL is exactly the same as with the other mouthpieces. The number 2 is always more excitable. But at the same time, when you step on the gas, it can still be very exciting. The XL is much more polite. This is on purpose. I'm playing the XL2 and I'm going to demonstrate what it sounds like when a high school player or somebody is doing, you know, is doing too much with their articulation.
Okay.
Right? Is it nasty? I mean, it's still too much artistically, but it's not ugly. So now, when you just take your foot off the gas a little bit and, you know, don't put so much tension in your tongue, you know, it's really, really easy to sound like a gentleman. You know, it's really, really easy to do the job. This entire menu is filled with mouthpieces that effortlessly play in tune and give you particular personalities. If you're a lead player, you've got at least 3-4 different cup options. If you're a classical player, whether it's soloist or orchestral, you know, section member, you've got every option from medium to extra, extra large. Same thing for jazz players. You know, you really, and the beauty about these mouthpieces is that the rims all feel similar in every cup depth. If you find, for me it's the 2 rim. Every mouthpiece feels the same on my face. So you can have the entire line of mouthpieces and easily switch between them. So even if you feel very comfortable playing on a small diameter of mouthpiece, you can still have this size of a sound.